Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and today let's take a look at the Quick-Loc system. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. It's basically this hex bit arrangement that snaps into a Quick-Loc adapter and allows you to quickly add and remove bits. A lot of drivers now have Quick-Loc dedicated chucks on them, basically, like this. This is the Milwaukee Surge. This thing is amazing. Use it for everything. But anyway, so I can just push a bit in, and it's in, pop it out. The Quick-Loc mechanism can either require a pull, to move the release collar away. Here's another, pull it away. Or it might be just like this Surge, where you push it towards the direction you're going, or pull it towards the direction you're going. So they can be, they can run either direction. I don't know if there's some standard. The Quick-Loc extensions are amazing. I have several by different companies. These with the locking collars, Milwaukee. This one's Diablo, and this one's a Bosch. And what they allow is not only, of course, a quick insert into the Quick-Loc mechanism, but also I can use standard bits and drop those in, and then they're in rock solid. I can't get those out without releasing the collar. Some tools allow the bit to just snap right in. You can see that without retracting the collar. Others, like this is a Hitachi adapter. Nothing happens until I release this and allow it to seat all the way. I'm not sure why you do that. You can get Quick-Loc adapters for tools like this old yellow drill here. For those younger viewers out there, this isn't a lanyard. What this is a cord, and it's like you plug it into a giant battery that your house is connected to, or your shop. The giant battery is called the grid, and this thing actually then powers this tool, so technically the battery shouldn't run out. It's kind of an amazing system, but you're stuck with this this piece of wire connected to the wall somewhere. Obviously we have things that are now called wireless, but you kids probably don't remember that stuff used to actually have wires. Anyway, what I've got here though is a chuck that's designed to fit into a drill and give you that same Quick-Loc. This one's got this is actually a Milwaukee one here. Kind of a strange setup. It stays out or in. No spring right there. When it's out and I push a bit in, then it seats itself and stays in. But otherwise it's just flopping around on there. However, I mean, I've had this thing forever. Ancient. I can just drop it into a standard rotating chuck bit here and then turn this into a Quick-Loc mechanism. So something to keep in mind if you got an old drill, you can make this dedicated Quick-Loc with just a quick adapter. Speaking of these, you can stack them. There's nothing wrong with that. So I can get 2 6s or a 12. I've got smaller ones. These are a little bit different. This is designed to hold a bit just under magnetic force. This is a Makita here. What you gain by doing that is a much slimmer profile, and sometimes, working close to edges or near the floor or something, it's hard to get maybe something a little thicker like this in. However, I'm stuck trying to yank it out of the magnet, and some of these magnets are pretty strong, and some seem to have like this extra, that really gets in there and stays tight. And not only that, it seems to have a lot more friction even beyond just the magnet. But one of the downfalls of these is there are tools like this. This is a drill bit, and I use lots of these. I love these Quick-Loc drill bits. And so this one would snap right in and stay. This one This will stay with a little bit of friction, but it's not getting any magnet because this is aluminum. And being aluminum, obviously, it's not attracted to a magnet. Now, some of these, there isn't a big problem with it. However, this is an adapter. It's designed to snap into a Quick-Loc on a drill or on a power tool here. And then it's got a 90-degree gearing in it, so it rotates this part up here. But if I drop this into it, because this isn't actually a Quick-Loc, it's just a bit, and turn it, this just falls right out because there's a magnet in here and this is not magnetic. So there are some downfalls. By the way, this has really held up. I'm kind of surprised, and I like using it sometimes a little bit better than using a like a dedicated right angle drill like this. It has, for certain things, it has really good application, but there are other times it just doesn't have the feature set that something like this Surge does, and I can just immediately turn that into a 90-degree tool just with that simple little adapter. DeWalt makes these, Hitachi, Milwaukee, there are all kinds of them. Worth having one for those cases, and I just haven't run into any real trouble with it. You know, it's just, even if you let go and spin it, you know, it doesn't seem to hurt it. But anyway, enough of that. Another thing you can get are the socket adapters. Here's 1/2 inch, 3/8, and 1/4. These are Huskies here. And this actually is like a $10 set. And I don't mind that it's not super high quality. And the reason is I almost rather have failure here than, you know, shatter a socket out here or break my drill, you know, or whatever I'm using. Because this really is not designed, you know, like if let me show you on this, if I'm running a great big socket like that, I want this to fail somewhere on this cheap piece, not on an expensive piece. I don't want the $3 bit adapter, you know, not to break, and instead I bust my $200, you know, Milwaukee or $180 Surge. So I don't mind that. Just be a little careful with it. And then if I needed something, you know, really strong, you know, then that's when you step up to, you know, something like this. And yes, I know it's a chrome socket on an impact driver, but this is just for demonstration purposes because I didn't want to go out to the garage and grab my impacts. That's where they live. So if I really need the force of something big, I don't obviously use a bit adapter. But for a lot of other things, it's really handy. Now what I was going to show you here, this is a Milwaukee one. You can get these quite inexpensively, and they're pretty good. And they have what they call their shockwave technology, which is just a little bit of a stress relief that doesn't transfer the stress from the drill directly to the tool, or to the nut, or the nut back to the drill. And my guess is that there's a failure point. So if I'm going to stress these too far, this is where it's going to fail. So it's like the built-in weak link, and that's deliberate because I'd rather have these cheap things break than something expensive. But I also have a bunch of these because on some jobs I'll literally dedicate the sockets. What that means is this one gets an adapter, you know, for whatever I'm doing, and it just stays there. So I swap them out at this end like that, rather than pulling the socket off each time and leaving this in the driver and switching sockets. Obviously I can do that. It's always an option. But I find in some tasks I'm using the same thing, flipping back and forth, sometimes changing things out. You know, there are 2 or 3 different sizes, and you're using them all the way in and all the way out, you know, or to remove it and then put it back in. And it's just easier to have a handful of these things laying around. I could use a long one too, if I wanted, if that's what helped out. But then I could also use a short one on an extension, which isn't a problem usually either, because you're already using a big a big diameter tool anyway. So I just like having a whole bunch of these handy. There is a big difference between the on the magnetic ones between what essentially is a nut driver and what's a bit holder. So in this case, the bit, this is the aluminum one, I'll use this, the bit slides in, you can see, pop that one out that far. This is a 1/4-inch nut driver, and you can see it barely holds it. But I've also seen sets where they include this as bit driver, nut tool, and this, you know, barely holds onto a bit. It's kind of a problem. If you need super security with this kind of stuff, Snap-on makes, and I assume other companies, I don't have them, but they make these the square head like this 1/4-inch here with a pin in it, that if you drop that into like a socket like this, this is a swivel here that has a pin or has a hole right there, drop that in. This is on there. It's not going to come off. You'd have to probably break that pin to pop that thing off. And in fact, the only way I know to get it off is, you know, to push the pin back in with something like this. I've got a pick here. If you've got a little bit larger one, I think, do I have one out here somewhere? I had another. I sometimes use a small Allen wrench. I find that makes it a little bit easier to pick that up on the thing, to hold this, and then to push into that little hole to pop the, where did it go? To pop that little button to slide the sockets off. I'll find it as I'm talking, I'm sure. Anyway, another thing, there are these sleeved collars. Here's a Milwaukee one here. Here's a Hitachi, pretty similar. And I like these for 2 reasons and don't like them for 1 reason, as far as using them as bit holders. They're really handy in that once you've got a screw, or once you've got this on, you can literally drop a screw in to the end, if you're doing deck screws or if you're doing screws on flooring, stuff like that. And then this, as you start to push it forward, it'll kind of center itself. And then this collar will hold the screw in place as you slide the, as it goes in. So this is always flush with your surface, so the screw doesn't fly out of the way, or you know, it doesn't bend or go in crooked. Another thing I like is you can hang on to this thing right here. It gives you a nice piece of real estate that doesn't cause any trouble. What I don't like is sometimes they're harder to get off, you know, especially in a hurry. I figured out how to do this by grabbing it way up at the front, but you know, this slides, so sometimes you have to slide that all the way out and then you can pop it free. But they do come in really handy. And as far as I know, that's what they're for. This Milwaukee seems like a little stiffer, a little nicer, a little thicker, but that Hitachi's pretty old. Once you move to something like these bit drivers here, let me switch to this guy, or these Quick-Locs, I can then, by using an adapter, go to all kinds of hexes too, and torques and all sorts of things. And that's great if you're doing, like, say, IKEA furniture or something like that. And, you know, and usually you get some cheesy little Allen wrench that you're supposed to do stuff with, like this. And that's going to take forever. It would be so nice if you could just use a powered Allen wrench. Now, I used to make the powered Allen wrenches by simply taking the one that, say, IKEA gave me and snapping it off, or cutting it with a Dremel tool, and then I would just drop it into a, which way is that going? Wrong way. Directly into a drill, and then I'd make my own. So pretend that this part up here isn't here. I'll move it out of the camera. So there's my homemade Allen to make life a lot easier assembling some of that stuff. But obviously, if I want to do it seriously and I need something a little stronger, remember this has, in a lot of cases, that built-in weakness, then I would switch to a dedicated, say in this case a 3/8 driver like this Milwaukee stubby. Milwaukee's, you know, obviously figured a lot of this out because they give you these options for the different kinds of settings and things to happen, speed, power, etc., to try to minimize damage. But anyway, that's a really nice option if you have it. Pop this thing on. But if you don't, whoops, it's great to be able to just throw it onto an adapter, and then you can stick it in a regular drill if you want. That'll hold it. Or of course, you can drop it into your Quick-Loc drill. These things, the Quick-Loc system has just made it into about every single thing I do. A couple of other things. This is a Quick-Loc mechanism for holding a bit that DeWalt made, and it's supposed to be a swivel allowing a little bit of bend. But the problem is it's magnetic, and the moment it's at least not all the way hanging down, it tends to snap up. So you're trying to reach down in there and it clicks and it just goes back to straight, and that's a fail. I hate this thing. You know, I was excited when I saw it and got it right when it came out, and then tried to use it and it just, you know, pops right back. That's dumb. And of course you can lock it out. Well, this is one of those tools that's supposed to be both, wow, look, you can both have, you know, it stay straight and solid, or you can get the this little bit of swivel. But the swivel is why you get it, because everybody's got tons of the other bit holders. I want the swivel, but instead, because of that magnetic part, it just doesn't seem to work. Kind of a bummer. There's another DeWalt one in here. This guy here, again, a bit holder. I'm going to stick a Milwaukee in a DeWalt. I hope that's okay. This one does give you a nice collar that you can hang on to, and it's got another adapter here for a larger bit holding mechanism as well that's available. You know, this is all small stuff, this 1/4 inch hex. Well, why not go up to something large for bigger jobs? So there are such things. But anyway, in this one's got a nice collar for release and grabbing. Like that better than just the magnetic one that's right here. So hopefully they'll make one of these that's got this mechanism that allows me to get some swivel. Although I could, with a series of different pieces, put one of these swivels into play using different adapters, but that's getting kind of crazy. This was my first attempt. This thing here, it's an old, I think this one's I don't remember what brand that one was. Makita maybe. It's just a standard kind of a friction fit. I don't even know if there's a magnet in this thing. And it doesn't have, you can see how old it is, it doesn't have the Quick-Loc, so I'd have to use it in something that would hold onto it tight, like a drill, like a screw-down chuck, just to get a little bit of flex. Then I got this guy. This is pretty dang old, but it's got the Quick-Loc here. This is a Makita, and then at this end, it does have a collar you could hang on to try to keep the whole thing from spinning, and then it does have a locking mechanism on one end. So this is a step up. I guess that's kind of stuck in there, but anyway, well, it'll live there for now. Neither one of these is working all that well. I really wish that I could get something like this to work. Come on, there's probably one out there maybe now, but got burned once, DeWalt. Let's see, this is a Hitachi here. This Quick-Loc was designed for kind of a rapid switch, so I can drill and then I can countersink, because it's got a countersink bit on it, and then I can release this and take this piece out. Now it's got this gigantic collar, and drop this back in, lock it down, because it doesn't do it on its own, and then now I've got the ability to drive the screws into the holes that I just made and countersunk. So it works. Right now, I'll just grab 2 drills. I think that's what most of us are doing is, you know, here's a 18 volt and here's a 12 volt. And, you know, I could also take old drills and put bit drivers on them. So there's really no need to have this fast switching up one tool if I can double fist it with 2 tools. Let's see, got all that, got all those. I highly recommend checking these guys out. Make sure that they, this is the Bosch here, is a good one. I mean, these are like $10. How solid it holds this, whether or not you have to pull the collar down if the collar goes the right direction. But these are just so handy. And the sheening is just beautiful. Diablo makes a handful of different sizes. I'd recommend getting a handful of different sizes. They just are so incredibly useful. And then the old Husky ones too. If you want to spend $10 and get a set of these things, I think it's worth it. And again, I don't know how strong they are, but I haven't had any trouble, and I've got a bunch of them. Another thing I've done with these, I do like the drill bits. This aluminum one's kind of bent up. They don't make a whole lot of those anymore, but I'd quickly just wrap tape around them for countersinking. This one might have been used to drill skis, cross-country skis, to install bindings. Pretty low tech there. But then I would have one driver here that would drive my drill, or drive my my screw or my drilling, and then pop it out and then drive all the screws. That's how I handled it with the different drill bits. There's one set of snap-on things. They have a dedicated piece here. This one's got the hole in it, so if I attach that to a 1/4 inch with a ball, I can pop it on and off. In fact, it doesn't even stay on all that tight. But if I attach it to that, wherever that one went, where are you? Right here. If I attach it to this guy, it's on there tight now. If I put it here, and then if I put something else out there, using the quick attach, there we go. None of this is going to come off. It's rock solid. And that, maybe if you're working on airplanes or something and you absolutely positively cannot have a bit fall off into whatever you're working on, this would be a good setup. Otherwise, it's, you know, kind of hard because it's now behaving like a solid unit. A couple of others. Wrap this up. I have these old boxes. There's an old Hitachi that I always toss old components in. So sometimes I need a sacrificial one, or sometimes I've got a project somewhere else, and I might just set up a kit and hand it out to whoever's helping me. This is Milwaukee Shockwave, and this thing has all the Quick-Loc attachments. They have big sets, small sets, but they often are worth it. I wish you could buy just tons of these bits, or these drill bits. I wish they came bigger too. They seem to max out around 1/4 inch. I wouldn't mind if they went a lot bigger. I have wood bits. Might have some here. Let's see, in this DeWalt here, yeah, I've got some wood bits that go up higher, go up to 3/4 of an inch, but I'd rather have some that I can drill through metal or plastic or something else larger than 1/4 inch. I haven't looked in a while, but I haven't seen them. But anyway, you can get all kinds of kits that have these Quick-Locs. Definitely worth it. And then I keep tons of bit sets. I'll just collect these bits over time, throw them into kits like this just to organize them. I'm constantly using them. My whole world seems to roll around this Quick-Loc system. And the more Milwaukee, and I'm sure other tool companies, embrace this, you know, just it's the way of the future, I'm sure, and definitely something that I'm all in on. So that's just some of the basics here on the Quick-Loc and my experience with it. And I'm looking forward to more Quick-Loc tools coming out. With that, Doc out.